Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Stitch Your Own Adventure podcast. If you watched my first episode and are back, thank you so much. If you are new, welcome. I am using this podcast series to sort of log my adventure and everything that I am learning and doing with my knitting and crocheting. So with that, I'm Erica and I am coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I live with my boyfriend. So I hope it's as beautiful, well, I hope it's a more beautiful day. It's a little gray out, so pardon the lighting, but it's beautiful in the sense that it is finally cooled down a little bit. So that is feeling really great, and it's great for wearing your knitwear. So I guess we can kind of just hop into the projects. So sit down, get comfortable, get a drink if you want of any kind, and yeah, join me working on a project. So I do have a few finished objects, and full disclosure, this video is, hopefully if all goes well, being posted about a week after my first video. However, there were actually 2 weeks spanning between the 2 episodes. It was my first time putting things onto YouTube, and I did have a lot of technical difficulties, mostly with my phone, which I'm recording on. I don't have any special recording equipment, and my phone decided it did not want to upload or export my videos anywhere for a few days, so it has been 2 weeks, so keep that in mind as you are seeing these projects. I think I got a lot done. So yes, that was in 2 weeks, not just 1. Anyway, so we can start with finished objects. So my first finished object is actually what I am wearing today. This is my, gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Anchor's Summer Shirt. The Anchor's Summer Shirt by Petite Knit. I showed it last time. All the knitting was done last time. I really just had to weave in the ends and block, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it turned out really good. I'm really happy with it. I made it with Knit Picks Cotton. It's like a cotton linen blend. It's DK weight. And yeah, I used the color, I keep wanting to think it's silver, but it's not called silver. It's called Whisker. But it's really nice. It's like a cool toned neutral. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with it, really happy with it. Let me see if I can stand up and kind of show you. I'm really happy with where it like hits on my waist. And yeah, I think it looks really nice. I'm excited to wear it. I'm glad it's like long enough that I can wear it to work, because that's always a big thing. Sometimes I'll make things a little too cropped, and then I'm like, oh, I can only wear this on the weekends. So yeah, this is my first finished object. Then I also finished the pair of socks that I was working on last time. These were made with yarn I bought from Hobby. These are made from their Atlas brand, Atlas line. I believe the colorway is San Remo. And yeah, I'm really happy with them. I think last time I was explaining how I had to sort of redo the second sock because I just knit it way too tight. I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, I really like the colors. I think it's nice. It's got kind of a retro vibe with the colors, but I like wearing stripy fun things. For socks where it's like, who's gonna see it, and if they do, who's gonna care? So yeah, these are my socks, and I still have this much left, which I don't have a scale. That is something I want to get so I can really see how much yarn I'm using for like my socks compared to Ben's socks, compared to any others I make, and just other projects too. I think it would be useful, but I do think I would be able to get a pair of shorties out of this, at least if I used or especially if I use a contrasting color for heels and toes, or toes and cuffs, or, you know, any combination of those three things, heels, toes, cuffs. So yeah, I'm excited. Probably won't pick this up for a while, but I'm excited that it's getting cool enough again that I can start wearing my hand knit socks. I did convince Ben to wear a pair today to work. He tried to say that like they weren't the best for his, he bikes a lot, he bikes to work, he's a bike commuter sometimes, and he was trying to say like, oh, they won't fit as well in my bike shoes, but then I made him try it and he's like, oh yeah, they do fit really well, so haha. So I'm excited about that, to see him wearing his again, and yeah, it makes me want to make more for him. So then, let's see, I have another finished object, which I am super excited about. I did not expect to have it done by now. And it is my shawl that I was working on last time, my Rayna Shawl. And let me tell you, this is finished because I was dedicated to it. It did not fly off the needles per se. I made it a point so that every day when I got home, even though each row was taking me like 30 minutes, I was like, no, I am going to do 2 rows a day of this mesh. I'm gonna get it done, and I did. And then last night I was working and I did the bind off, and that bind off took forever. I hadn't bound off like that before. There's a lot of techniques I haven't tried before, and that's why I'm doing this. I'm taking you on my adventure, and I'm excited to hear about your adventure. But this new bind off was part of my adventure this week. So it was just, I mean, it's not a hard bind off. You just like knit 2 and then move them back to the left needle, knit them together, you know, knit another one, move those 2 back to the left needle, knit them together. And it just like was not, my fingers didn't like it. Like it didn't, because of where the yarn ends up, and with my continental knitting, I found it really hard to like pull the yarn through when I was knitting the 2 together, and my hands were kind of like cramping because I think I was gripping the needles a little tight. But I did it, and I'm very pleased with the result, and it is, I think, just the size I wanted. I haven't blocked it yet, so it's not, you know, it's a little like wibbly on the ends, and yeah, I'm curious to see what blocking does since it's not a wool fabric. This is, I think it's a cotton acrylic blend, but I do still think that just like even just stretching it will put it in a nicer shape. But here it is. This is the Rayna Shawl by Nora Backlund, and I did get to a second color. Maybe you can kind of see. Oh, the lighting is not great, but it's a cream all the way until pretty much this bottom mesh section, and then it's like a light gray. Maybe you can see it better back here. Whoop. It's big. I love it. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, like I was saying last time, like I can picture like wearing it like over my shoulders with a dress, because it's just that nice like lacy. I don't care if it's kind of a grandma look. I love to have my shoulders and arms covered, but it's still nice to have some like strappy dresses. So this is a good compromise for me. And then I think it will look good worn like, you know, the classic triangle shawl. Oh, do I have the string in my hair? The ends I haven't woven in. Yeah, and then I think it'll look nice like this too. So I can wear it sort of in those transition seasons, just a little extra small bit of warmth. It is cotton, so it's not going to be super warm, but just a little extra covering. Yeah, so I'll try to show it to you again after I block it, see how that goes. But I am just really pleased that I finished it, and I can definitely see myself making this again. I think I really want to try making it with a different weight of yarn. Because it's a shawl, I don't really think that the like gauge or suggested weight is necessarily too important. I think it's worth playing around with at least. I think the pattern suggests a fingering weight. This was, I think, lighter than a standard fingering weight. I think this was more of a lace weight or a very light fingering. But yeah, I think I want to try it with, I have a few other balls of yarn that I just like have gotten from sales and things. I've got some shawl in a ball, which is kind of bumpy, but I think that could be nice for a warmer version of this. I've got some loops and threads, colors yarn. It's discontinued, but there was a big sale and it's like these huge balls of yarn that are really soft. And I think they're kind of like roving a little bit, roving yarn. They're color changing. So I'm curious if I could make a nice fuzzy winter version of this in one of those, and if that would look nice. So more to come. Yeah, if I do it, you will see it here. So we'll see what kind of experimenting I do with this pattern, but it's a free pattern. Definitely recommend it. Yeah, give it a try. Go check it out. It's really nice. So yeah, those are my 3 finished objects. Oh, I didn't say what color this was or anything about it, really. This was made with Red Heart. It's a wrap yarn in the color Western Occidental. I think I already said it's a mix of acrylic and cotton. And it does feel nice. It feels cottony, you know, it's not like super soft to the touch, but it's not like crazy rough, and it's so thin anyway. And yeah, I still have a ton of that yarn left. Let me get out the ball. When I showed it last time, I think I was still on the first color, and I did make it to the second color, as I said. But yeah, it's a 3-color ball of yarn. So that's still a decent amount left. This is another place where I wish I had a scale, because then I could say how many grams I'd use. This is a 200-gram cake of yarn. So this is big, and I'm curious if I used how close to 100 grams I was with it, because if it was only halfway, I mean, I could make another one of these easy peasy. Or I kind of think it could be nice in like a rectangle shawl, maybe that was just, you know, like pretty wide, but maybe like mostly garter with a few eyelet rows here and there, not so much mesh as this. I don't know. I've got time to play around. But yeah, I think I'll be recaking this up so it's not so floppy. But yeah, there's still 2 colors left, and a lot. So good value for yarn. If you are looking for some affordable shawl yarn that will go a long way, it's a wrap. We'll get you there. Let's see. Yeah, so those are all my finished objects. I'm impressed with myself. I know that there are some people out there who can just knit so fast and get so much done, and that is amazing, and I am so impressed. And honestly, I do like love watching those people. I love people who just have new things to contribute like every week. That being said, I am not one of those people, so I'm proud of myself for this. It feels like an accomplishment, and I'll take it. We'll see if I have any finished objects next week. But I do have some works in progress, so let's transition to those. So, because I finished my pair of Atlas socks, I did start another pair, and I did start a pair for Ben. And these are kind of flying. I don't know, I like recently participated in Nitty Natty's Sock Week, and I got a whole pair of socks done, but I was like pretty much only working on those, and I was like, wow, I can do this in a week, that's amazing. And those were a lot smaller because they were for my feet, and these are for Ben's feet. And even so, like in a week, in the last week, I've gotten this much done, and that's not the same as a whole pair, but I was working on a lot of other stuff, so yeah, pretty impressed. That's the theme of this week. I'm feeling impressed with myself. Yay. Yeah, so these are socks for Ben, my boyfriend. And these are made out of Patton's Croy in the color, let me just double check, Gray Brown Marl. What's interesting about that is that for me, the like dominant color in this, I know they're pretty even, but the color that catches my eye is the red. So it's kind of funny that they call out the gray and the brown in the name, but not the red. But that is their choice, and I will go with it. So yeah, gray brown marl. It's nice. It's I think it's pretty standard sock yarn. Yeah, 75-25, so 75% wool, 25% nylon. These come in 50-gram balls, so I do have 2 of them. And yeah, they're coming along nicely. So I did make these. I just did a 2x2 ribbed cuff. I did make these 64 stitches around. Normally for my socks I only do 56, but yeah, for Ben I do 64 generally, and then for his socks I also do 70 rows. He likes a longer sock, so I do 70 rows of the leg before doing the heel. It's a heel flap and gusset, and now I'm at the beginnings of the foot. So yeah, maybe a couple more weeks and I'll get this pair done. They are a little thicker than some of the socks I've been making, like they're thicker than the hobby yarn, so I think these will be really nice for fall and winter. The problem with making socks, or for other people, is that there's always, or for me, I feel like, especially as it gets to like end of summer, fall, I have a hard time being like, do I save this for holiday gifts, or do I just want to give it so it can get as much use now, you know? I think I'm probably gonna give this to him right away. He's already seen it, and it is gonna be cold here starting in like soon. Probably October. It's pretty cold here most of the year, so yeah, I'll probably not wait. But in the back of my head I'm always like, but then if I did wait, I'd be really stocked up for holidays. That could be nice. Oh well, things you have to decide, right? So yeah, those are the socks I am working on. I am trying to keep this episode a little bit shorter. I did talk a long time last time, and I think it did make it a little challenging for the technology that I currently have access to have such a long video. So I'm hoping to keep this a little shorter. So then my other works in progress, I have just started, and I mean just started, the Secret Summer Crop by Jessie Made, or Jessie Made Designs. So last time I showed you a couple colors I was choosing between, and I did decide on the hummingbird color. So let me show you. So this is Knit Picks Stroll hand painted. They've got a few different categories of stroll. I think they've got like tonal, hand painted. They might have speckled as well, but I really like it. It's really soft. It feels like sturdy still though, I think. But yeah, it's a 75-25 standard sock yarn, fingering weight. But yeah, this is the color. It's got all these beautiful like greens and teals. Oh, it's kind of blowing out a little bit. Sorry about that. But yeah, I really like these colors, and I think it will be really nice for a crop top where you can just like throw it on over jeans, throw a sweater on over it, if you so desire. It's probably what I will do. I'm not a huge tank top person. So anyway, I made a swatch. I made a few swatches, and quite frankly, I'm amazed at people who can get this gauge. I cannot. I cannot get this gauge. I think it's like, when you're using fingering weight yarn, they suggest like a 4.5 needle for your stockinette, and the suggested gauge is 17 stitches across. And that just is not happening for me. I went up a whole size. I tried a 5.5, and let me tell you, like, that felt huge. I tried a 5.5, and even then I was like way off. I still had way more stitches than 17 per 4 inches, and I didn't like the fabric that I got with that, with the 5.5, so I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get gauge and a fabric I like, so we're kind of winging it, which I know is not really the point of gauge swatching. Like, in a perfect world, I want to swatch until I get the perfect gauge so that I know that I'll be happy with the piece that I'm making. However, life throws you curveballs, and this is the adventure we're going on, right? Sticking with the theme. So anyway, so I redid my swatch with a 5mm, and this is what I got. I think that the fabric, it's still like a little see-through, but not so much that like if you wear it against your skin, it'll be like, oh, you really need to wear something under that. It's see-through with like the light behind me. But I think, I don't know, I think it'll be okay. Even if it's like stretched a little, I think it'll be fine. So this is, again, not with the recommended needle size. It is still going up from the needle size, and I still do not have the right gauge. But I like the fabric, so I am just going to go up a size in the pattern. So instead of doing a small, like I think my measurements would suggest, I am going to do a medium and hope for the best. The nice thing is, I think that this should be a pretty quick pattern. It's made from the bottom up, so, you know, I'll be able to like do a few inches, see if I can get over my head, shoulders, bust, you know, and if I can, golden, great, keep going, and if I can't, I will go up another size, and we'll just go from there. So that is my plan. I just started, so, like, last night I cast on, and I have done a tiny bit of the ribbing at the bottom. It's just, I think, starts with, yeah, just a little ribbing. I think I've done like 4 rows, and, you know, right now this looks about the size of a hat, but I'm hoping that when it's stretched out, it will fit my body. Here's hoping. Wish me luck. If you have any recommendations for this pattern, I guess, for like what you've done to get gauge if you've done this pattern, or what modifications you made, I am open to hearing it. I'm not so far in that I can't go back. And yeah, something that was really fun about this was I learned a new cast on method. So I'm trying all sorts of things, bind offs, cast ons. I was a little intimidated by this cast on. They recommend the German twisted or the old Norwegian. I think it's the same name or different names for the same cast on technique. And yeah, I watched the Very Pink Knits tutorial on how to do it. And when I watched her do it, I was like, oh my God, that looks so hard. Her videos are so short, so, you know, you'll like see it once and then she says at the end, basically, like you'll watch this a few times to get it. And then I did. I got it, and it was great, and I love it, and I want to do it on all of my socks from now on. It's known for being a really stretchy cast on, and it's honestly like pretty fun to do. So that was really exciting. That was a fun thing this week, and that's something that I just love about knitting and crocheting in general. You know, it really is just like there's always an opportunity to learn something new. And I feel like you really do like get that sense of accomplishment when you try something new. And thus far, I have not been confronted with a technique that I couldn't figure out. You know, it's like these aren't techniques designed to be impossible. They're not, you know, it might be a little fiddly or it might be a bit of a challenge, but I really think that you can get it. Like anyone can get it. I think I can get it. I know there are certain things that I'm like scared of to try, and I think that's probably true for a lot of people, but just remembering like this is something that so many other people know how to do. It's not necessarily an inherent talent. Like you can learn it, and you can learn any of these things, and that is, yeah, I guess that's another like reason for this podcast, is encouraging people to push themselves within their own knitting adventure. So that's what I am trying to do. Anyway, this is what I have so far. Not very much. The good news is that in the next podcast, hopefully, you'll be able to see noticeable progress. So yeah, that is my Secret Summer Crop Jessie made designs. So then my last whip I brought out in the last podcast. and it is my little amigurumi planter box. And I had brought it out as a sort of lingering whip. I really hadn't touched it in a long time, so thank you, podcast audience. Just doing this has like really motivated me to sort of pick up some old things and really get a move on a little bit. And I have just really been enjoying that. So I did make a lot of progress. Right now it looks like a bucket of, almost just throwing my things around. Yeah, it looks like just a bucket of yarn stuff, but I made a lot of progress. So I officially have all of the crocheting done. Now I just have to do sewing. So I've got these little cacti. I've got the yarn wrapped around them just because it will get tangled. You know, you have to leave long ends for sewing, and it will get tangled if I do not wrap those. I've got all of these guys. They're like string of pearl cacti. Crocheted, of course. They are not the real deal. And this is a pattern from Lauren Espy's book, Whimsical Stitches. I showed it last time, so go check that out. Highly recommend her books, her patterns. Yeah. So I did all of these. Let me tell you, I was just not being my best self when I was working on these. I don't know what it was. I like could not read the pattern. I just kept misreading things, and I would try it and I'd be like, this does not look like the last time I made it, or the pictures, like, what is happening? Oh, I did this stitch instead of that stitch. Like, oh, and I just kept, I think I probably tried it like 4 different times before I got it. And it's because I was not paying attention when I was reading. I was like skimming it and being like, oh, I got it. So strongly recommend fully reading all directions before proceeding. But yeah, so these are the string of pearls. There are 5 of these. And then I've got this guy. Last time I'd had him crocheted, but he was still like just like a long rectangle. I hadn't put on the face. Oh, he's got little eyes and a little smile. And I hadn't sewn them together. So this one's very cute, I think. And then the big one, which is actually several parts. I will unwrap this guy. And I haven't stuffed them. He's got his little face. And I realized, half of his smile is kind of hard to see. But I realized what was slowing me down so much with this and why it was sitting unworked. And that's because as soon as it gets to a step that is not just knitting or crocheting, and I feel like this is true in like most projects, it gets to those steps and I just like don't want to get up and get all the supplies. So like the little safety eyes and the embroidery stuff, that stuff just like sometimes it just puts a hard stop on things for me, and that's my problem. But I do find that I let myself get in my own way with that. But yeah, so this guy, he looks kind of like a light bulb, but then you add the other pieces. So he'll eventually look, he'll have, can I balance this? Should I try? Woo. Nope, almost. I thought I could do it. Oh well. But he'll look kind of like this. Which I think is very cute. And then I'll sew it all together in the planter box, I'll stuff them, and then I will be giving this as a gift to my coworker. So yeah, I've made a lot of progress on it, and it does make me want to make more amigurumi. They're just so cute, and it's so fun like making all the different pieces and then seeing it come together. I'm not that into sewing things or seaming, especially on garments, but I find that this type of seaming and sewing, it's really forgiving, because like 9 times out of 10 you're just sewing things like on the inside where people don't have to see it. Like it's easy to hide. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be sturdy. And yeah, I want to make more. I do. So we'll see how many more things. The problem is I don't want to like have a ton of stuffed animals, and I haven't quite figured out who in my circle wants these these types of things. But once I do, they will get them. They will get plenty of them, and I hope they will enjoy them. All right. So that is all of my current whips. I will show you, I do have a plan that I want to do this week. Something I really want to accomplish this week, maybe next week. I guess I don't want to put too fine a point on it. But Ben has a blanket from when he was a baby. It's very special to him, and it's seen better days. Here it is. It's a cute, like, granny square blanket. I'm not really sure if it was handmade for him by someone in his life. I'm not sure if he really knows. But I think it does. At some point, I swear, like, there is a tag, but it also looks like this tag could have been sewn on by a person, you know, a crafty person. But either way, it's very clearly crochet, and I'm gonna hold it up. You're gonna see this thing is kind of in tatters. Big hole, like so many holes. You can kind of see me. So I told him I would seam it up for him. It really shouldn't be hard. Really shouldn't even take that much time. I want to seam it, and then I want to, like, wash it in some nice smelling wool wash, just so it's a little refreshed. You know, it's never going to be back to its full state. Like, there are some things that I just can't do much about, you know. Luckily it's kind of like felted. It's not really going anywhere. You can see Ben's attempts in some places at seaming himself. Do you see this? Yeah, that kind of cracks me up. So I told him I would try to seam it, and I asked him to pick out some scraps for me to use, and he chose this, and not the yellow, but under the yellow. I don't really know why I kept the yellow, but under the yellow it's just this teal, and he decided that he wanted that to be the color that I seam this with. It'll be a bit of a contrast, but yeah, I'm hoping to do that soon because I just think it would be a nice thing to do for him. So that is on my list. That's my upcoming plans. That, and just keep working on these other whips that I have. Maybe cast on another shawl. This gray weather has me kind of wanting to, even though I haven't done a ton of shawls, but I might have the bug. We'll see. So then the last thing I want to talk about is, I think I'm going to call this my fangirl section. In my first episode, I was sort of fangirling over the crazy sock lady. And yeah, I just wanted to share another podcast that I'm really into right now, and that is Knitting Traditions. Those videos are done by Inga, who lives in Norway, and she is just, well, incredible. Like, she can knit so much. It is shocking. Like, she knits so much. I've been watching her videos, like, I recently started watching them, but I've been watching them in chronological order. And I got up to the episode with, where she's doing, like, her year in review, essentially, for 2021. She has made, like, so many sweaters. It is amazing. I don't know how she does it, but it is very impressive. But besides that, I think the reason why her podcast is really resonating with me right now is that she does a little bit of design. That is true. Like, she has some patterns out, but mostly her podcasts are just seeing her enjoying her knitting and sharing that with people and sharing her passion. And that's what I want to do. I'm not a designer. I'm not a yarn dyer. I really just want to share what I love and have a place to talk about it. So that has been resonating with me a lot. So I've really appreciated her podcasts. Yeah, so I highly recommend her videos. Go check them out. And besides that, I think that is pretty much it. I cannot thank you enough if you have watched through this whole thing, or if you watched my previous episodes. If you didn't, feel free to go back. I am happy to have you here. Feel free to comment, let me know whatever you want me to know about you. I'd love to hear what you're working on, for one. If you've made any of these projects I've made, I know a lot of them are pretty popular patterns. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about what you are doing. Thank you again, and I hope to see you next time.